Now we're going to look at Notebooks Studio. I'm going to expand it just a little bit. The first thing we'll look at is this mind map. This is really helpful to just get a feel for the main ideas of the collected sources. When you click on it, it opens a full screen mind map. You can zoom in, expand all the levels, or collapse them. If you want to look at just one at a time, you'll click the arrow right by it, and this little drill down feature allows you to explore the sources by topic. So if I wanted to look at promotion strategies, there's a few different subcategories I could look at, but if you click the box instead of the arrow, it'll auto-generate a prompt in the terminal about that topic, and then it gives me a summary of the sources that talk about promotion strategies in the context of marketing research and pricing and advertising. Again, it'll cite all of its sources. You can click on it. It'll take you to the place in the paper where it got that information. And you can do this for any of the ideas that you find most helpful or interesting. Click these arrows up here to go back to the main studio. Now we'll look at reports. There's several different pre-made reports that you can do, like a briefing doc, a study guide, or a blog post. It will also load suggestions based on the sources that you've uploaded, like an analytical method overview or a marketing strategy. Because we're using this tool to write a specific style of literature review, you'll click Create Your Own, and then you can type any instructions you want into this box. We actually have a custom GPT bot that helps you write the prompt to get this style of literature review that you're looking for. And the link for this will be in the description. So you can just say, create a report prompt to write a literature review. Many of the prompts will look similar, and it'll just kind of depend on what your topic is, because this bot is built to follow best practices and stylistic guidance from specific books and personal preferences. So it will tell it to write sections on theoretical foundations, methodological approaches, empirical findings, mechanisms, and interpretations. Again, this will vary slightly depending on your topic. And then this is a really important part. This is something to keep in mind when writing your own literature review, is to not summarize mechanically. You don't want to just fire hose the reader with a bulleted summary of all these different sources and not really connect them. It instructs it to identify conceptual gaps and any disagreements in the literature. It gives it style requirements, like maintaining a formal academic tone, and even specifies a word count. So you can paste this in here. Sometimes it will generate instructions that are too long for the character limit, and so you can ask chat to adjust this prompt as needed. But this one looks okay, and make sure you read through the prompt so that you will actually receive what you want. If you want to change the style requirements, the word count, any of that will work. But go ahead and just put your research question in here, then click generate. This can take a few minutes. We're waiting for that to generate. A quick note about these other features, especially quiz, flashcards, video, and audio overview. These tools are really helpful if you are studying for a test and want to upload these sources for something. But as far as a literature review, we'll stick mostly to mind map, reports, data table, and possibly infographic and slide deck. In the last video, we saw how you can save specific responses to a note, and it'll add it to the studio right here. You can also just create an original note for yourself. So click Add Note, and then you can put anything you want in it. If you click this Convert to Source button, it will actually add this note that you made into the sources that it'll be referencing. So if you wrote like a synthesis of your top 5 sources, you could put that in the note, and then NotebookLM would be able to reference that in addition to the sources that you've already uploaded. Most of the time, you probably won't need to use this convert to source, but it is helpful to know. I'm going to delete it. If you don't want any of the studio outputs in your studio anymore, you can just simply click delete. This data table feature can be useful if you want to view your sources in a similar style to the columns in Elicit. So you can say, categorize uploads by study type: experimental, quasi-experimental, observational, and other. Also add a column stating if it found an increase, decrease, or no effect on prices based on advertising. Oops, that should say type. And now it says it's generating based on 35 sources because I forgot to deselect this note that I added to the sources. We won't go over infographic and slide deck in this video, but feel free to explore them. Let's take a look at the table first. Okay, awesome. So it gives me study title, type, product category, effect on prices, key findings, and methodology summary. I'm not sure why it's citing more than one source at a time for these first few, but it looks like the rest of the table doesn't really have that problem. Notice also that it only included 22 sources, and I have uploaded 35. But if there's a specific one I'm missing, I can always just ask about it specifically in the terminal. So this is really helpful for me to just kind of see it all at once laid out here, especially because you can customize these columns. Now, if we take a look at the literature review, if you click on these 3 dots, it will show you the prompt. So it's just that prompt that we pasted in there. So NotebookLM has written a literature review based on these sources. Now this is awesome, but it is definitely not copy and pastable for several very important reasons. The first is that you can't tell the AI everything it needs to know just in that customization prompt. And so you will know best the subheadings that you're looking for, the style and the voice that you want, and things like that. Another important thing to do, again, is to just do a sanity check on these citations and these sources, making sure that these sources over here are actually claiming what this report says that they do. You also probably aren't going to want to read this entire thing, but if you're feeling really lost as to where to start with your literature review, this provides a good example structurally and conceptually. You'll see that it still looks like AI. It'll bold important phrases, use bullet points and things like that. But if you have a sentence or a phrase that you specifically like, you can paraphrase that and use it in your report. For me, the most helpful thing about this literature review draft is a check for myself to see if I'm understanding the literature correctly. Say I've been brainstorming some headings, and I feel like the literature is generally saying that advertising decreases prices. But then right in the intro, I read that it's polarized, an essential debate, meaning that the literature hasn't really come to a general consensus yet. So that's the conclusion that my own literature review should probably point towards. This is sort of a fleshing out of the mind map that we looked at earlier. Again, especially if you've never written a literature review before, this is an awesome way to see an example related to your topic in a customized style that you specified for NotebookLM. But remember, you should not copy and paste this. This is just good to use as a guide. The little icon that was up here earlier was from that same extension I mentioned in the last video, the NotebookLM to PDF, but your dashboard will probably look just like this. Hopefully now you feel more confident in writing your own literature review. AI offers many incredible tools like Elicit, ResearchRabbit, and NotebookLM that can make your research more efficient and more effective.